everyone, I'm Lynda Kinkade. You're watching CNN Newsroom live from CNN's World Headquarters here in Atlanta. Good to have you with us. Ahead this hour, a major Japanese newspaper and Olympic co-sponsor calls for the Tokyo Games to be cancelled. A big check and improved relations. America's top diplomat works to shore up the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire and America's standing amongst Palestinians. And changing course, a fast and furious start as some major backtracking after a controversial remark about Taiwan. Top Japanese newspaper and one of the official partners of the Tokyo Games is now calling for the Summer Olympics to be cancelled due to the pandemic. In an editorial published a short time ago, Asahi Shimbun called for the Prime Minister to, quote, calmly and objectively assess the situation and decide whether to cancel the event. The paper also accused Prime Minister Suga of putting on the Games against the will of the public. It's another major blow for Olympic organisers who've been under intense pressure for weeks to cancel the Games. CNN's Selina Wag joins us from Tokyo, where the Games are now less than 2 months away. And Selina, this is not just a leading Japanese newspaper. This is an official partner of the Tokyo Olympics. Just how big of a deal is it?
Well, that's exactly right, Linda. This is extremely significant. As you say, not only is this the first major newspaper to call for a cancellation of the Games in Japan, but it is also an official partner of these Olympic Games. The question here really is if this leads to a domino effect of other sponsors and major newspapers in Japan also calling for a cancellation. There is already major public opposition to the Olympics in Japan, with poll after poll showing that the majority of the population here does not want the Games held this year. I spoke to Jules Boykoff, who is a political scientist who studies the Olympic Games, and he called this editorial from Asahi Shimbun significant and extremely remarkable. He says it is hard to break the corporate silence and to speak out, but that essentially this newspaper has structured permission for others to do so. Now, in this editorial, the paper wrote that, quote, "We don't think it makes sense to hold the Olympics and Paralympics in Tokyo this summer. The distrust and opposition towards the ruling government, the Tokyo government, and Olympic officials are widespread, as they haven't tried to address people's doubts and concerns. We asked Prime Minister Suga to calmly and objectively assess the situation and decide whether to cancel the event this summer." Now, Linda, for some context here, this is one of the most prestigious newspapers in Japan. It is considered to be a left-leaning publication that has often been critical of the ruling Conservative Party. But this is clearly part of this undeniable cascade of opposition to the Games, not just from the public, but also from doctors, high-profile leaders, and now from a major sponsor. Linda?
Yeah, Selina, as you say, quite rightly, this newspaper and its stance certainly supports the overwhelming number of people in Japan that are against the Games going forward. Just give us a sense of the situation there right now with vaccinations so low and cases surging.
Linda, exactly. You only have about 2% of the Japanese population that has been fully vaccinated. On top of that, Tokyo and large parts of Japan are under a state of emergency. But despite those enhanced restrictions, you're still seeing COVID-19 cases surge across the country. And the medical system here is also under strain. In areas like Osaka, the doctors there are warning of a system collapse, with hospitals running out of bed space and ventilators. And the concerns that the newspaper lays out in its editorial is reflected in the broader medical community here. You have a group representing 6,000 doctors in Tokyo calling for these Games to be canceled because they say it is just impossible to hold a safe bubble for something the scale of the Olympics. Linda?